Sector 41 is a strategy board game for 2 to 4 players. Let's open up the box and see what's inside. Inside you'll find a variant sheet, a rules update card, which may also be taped to the outside, 4 rule sheets, so that each player in a 4-player game can have their own copy, and then the various game components, which include 12 explorer ships, 3 each of 4 different colors, a purple guardian piece, 21 glinium discs, and 85 tiles. Now let's get the game set up. Look through the 85 tiles that came with the game and remove the 4 mothership tiles. On the front page of the rules are the graphics for the 4 mothership tiles to make them easy to find. So find those 4 tiles and set them off to the side for now. Then take the remaining 81 tiles, turn them face down so that the empty star field is showing on all of them, mix them up, and place them into a square grid 9 by 9 in size. We're going to set up for a 2-player game today. So let's place the blue mothership on one side of the grid and the yellow mothership on the other side, each with the matching 3 explorers on top. In the center, we'll place the purple guardian piece, and when we do that, we need to turn over the center tile to reveal it. Now that we're just about ready to start, it would be a good time to discuss the objective of the game. The player who tows the most glinium out of Sector 41 back to their motherships is going to be the winner. There are 8 glinium planets within Sector 41, and I have an extra set on the side here to show you what they look like. There are 4 2-glinium planets, 3 3-glinium planets, and 1 4-glinium planet. The number on the planet indicates the number of glinium discs that will be placed on the planet when it first gets discovered. Yellow glinium discs are worth 1 point each, the blue discs are worth 2, and the red disc is worth 3. The yellow discs all enter the game first, followed by the blue disc, and finally the red one. Now that we've got the game set up and we know the objective, let's go over the basic turn structure. Each turn in Sector 41 is composed of 3 phases. The first phase is the mothership phase, the second phase is the explorer phase, and the third phase is the guardian phase. During the mothership phase, a player has 3 choices. They may move their mothership up to 2 spaces to the left or right. If they're near one of the edges of the board, this means they can move all the way off of that edge and re-enter on the same side of the grid on the opposite edge. They can also choose to fold space, and folding space is a key mechanic in the game that helps players control the situation and manipulate the grid to their advantage. Or their third option is to do nothing. It's important to remember that a player can only choose one option in the mothership phase. They cannot move and fold space during the same turn. Folding space is the key to success in Sector 41, and there's a few things to keep in mind. As the tiles move, everything on top of the tiles moves along with them, including the explorers, glinium, and the guardian. Folding space also does not allow you to reorient the tiles in any way, nor look at any tiles that are still face down. Although folding space is a very powerful weapon, it's a very balanced mechanic in the game because you can only fold away from you. Thus, you can bring the furthest tile right next to your mothership, but all the tiles close to you move further away. And also, you cannot unfold an opponent's fold, which means as long as an opponent continues to fold the same column of tiles, you cannot undo it. If they skip a turn, however, then you can start to move things in the reverse direction. Once the mothership phase is complete, the player enters the explorer phase, where they must move one of their explorer ships. Explorers may move one space in any direction while out on the grid, but when entering and leaving the mothership may only move straight in and out. Whenever an explorer moves onto a tile, it follows the instructions for that tile. If a tile is face down, when an explorer moves onto it, it is turned face up. Many of the tiles in the game allow explorers to continue to move, and since an explorer must always follow the tile instructions when they move onto it, they can chain moves together, so as more and more tiles get revealed, there are longer and longer pathways that are created from one side of the board to another. The game comes with 4 copies of the rules so that each player has a handy reference sheet to help them identify the tiles and their effects. Let's review the tiles in the game. Let's start with the movement tiles. There are many configurations of solar wind, which require your explorer to move one additional tile in any of the indicated directions, your choice. There's also the space rift, which requires your explorer to move one additional tile in the direction it was already heading. The pulsar lets you jump 2 tiles in the direction of either of its blasts, while the supernova lets you jump 2 tiles in any direction. The solar flare requires you to move to the first unexplored tile in the direction of its blast, while the solar tempest requires you to move all the way to the edge of the board in the direction of its blast. The temporal anomaly knocks you back 2 tiles in the direction you came from, while the alien artifact requires you to move 2 tiles forward, one straight and one diagonal, your choice. Explorer ships may never leave the 9x9 grid except when entering their mothership, so anytime a tile requires you to do so, you ignore it. Anytime a tile offers you a choice, you may not choose an option that would require you to leave the grid. Space exploration can be dangerous, so let's look at some of the hazards. The nebula will trap your explorer ship until a second one comes along to free it, while the black hole will suck your explorer in and destroy it. Barren planets are time wasters, and any explorer that visits one cannot move on your next turn. The asteroid belt is a mixed blessing. Once an explorer enters the asteroid belt, it must navigate one asteroid at a time, starting at the lowest number, and it may not leave until it reaches the highest numbered asteroid on a given tile. However, the explorer can jump from one asteroid belt tile to another as it traverses asteroids, so it can be a way to quickly move across the sector. Let's quickly cover the remaining tiles. The vortex allows you to rotate any one tile on the grid, while the ion storm can be exchanged with any tile on the grid. The remote viewport allows the current player to peek at any tile without revealing it, while the spatial distortion reveals the closest unexplored tile. The starbase allows you to shoot any other explorer that is within 2 tiles, thus returning it to its mothership, while the salvage explorer tile allows you to bring back an explorer that was previously destroyed and removed from play. The Stargate allows you to immediately summon a second explorer to the tile, while entering a wormhole allows you to move to any Stargate already revealed. And finally, the Mothership Beacon tile allows your explorer to instantly return to the mothership. I know that's too much for a new player to remember right off the bat, but each player receives a handy reference sheet so that they can easily look up tiles and their effects as they play. It'll take a couple of games for a new player to be able to recognize all of the tiles on site. Keep in mind that whenever an explorer leaves a tile that contains one or more Glinian chips, that explorer may tow one of the Glinian chips along with it as it moves, although it may not tow Glinium into unexplored space. Explorer ships are not only vulnerable to the hazards of space exploration, but they're also vulnerable to combat from enemy explorers. Anytime you move one of your explorer ships onto a tile that contains one or more enemy explorers, all of those enemy explorers are returned back to their mothership. If that tile happens to be an asteroid belt tile, then those enemy explorers are destroyed. There is, however, a way for you to protect your explorers from combat, and that is by shielding them with your mothership. Anytime you have a movement path from your mothership to any one of your explorers, that explorer is shielded from combat. Keep in mind that motherships can only shield single explorers, and if you have more than one explorer on the same tile, neither of them will be protected. Now on to the final phase of the turn, the Guardian phase. The Guardian is native to Sector 41, and thus he is immune to all tile effects in the game when moving. The Guardian's behavior goes through 3 different stages in the game, and he starts the game in the Wandering. During the Wandering, the Guardian is moved by any player that explored a tile during the Explorer phase. Since you can't tow Glinium through unexplored space, this tends to be a balancing mechanic. The Guardian will tend to drift towards the player that is not scoring points, because that player is exploring, while the player scoring points is towing Glinium and thus not entering unexplored space. Once all Glinium has been discovered, the Guardian enters the Quickening, where he now moves every turn, and he always moves towards the closest unexplored tile on the board. And finally, once all the tiles have been explored, the Guardian returns to the center of the board where he begins the Cleansing. In this mode, he is aggressive, and he will destroy any explorers or Glinium that he comes into contact with, as well as cleansing the tiles themselves. Explorers may not enter cleansed tiles, and columns containing cleansed tiles may no longer be folded. Now you have a basic overview of the rules and mechanics of the game Sector 41. The rules are actually pretty simple, but mastering them is another matter entirely. Sector 41 begins as a game of exploration, as the players send out their explorer ships in an effort to find the Glinium planets. Once the Glinium planets are discovered, it becomes a battle of tactical and strategic decision-making. Experienced players know that the random starting locations of the Glinium planets have little to do with who actually scores the points. Players have enough tools at their disposal, the key one of which is folding space, to manipulate the grid to their own advantages. Players need to manipulate the board to build movement pathways so that their explorer ships can efficiently cross the sector, while at the same time disrupting those pathways created by their opponents. Another level of the game is creating shielding pathways to protect your explorers from combat, and again, disrupting those same pathways from your opponent. For more information on Sector 41, stop by our website